Welcome to DeFi Crypto today. Our topic today is Friktion on Solana. Friktion is a DeFi protocol that provides structured products. Structured products, basically, they're using options. In this case, they have covered calls, and we're going to see they also have cash secured puts to generate income. And basically, the idea of behind a structured product is that you don't have to perform all the operations manually yourself. Okay, you don't have to create the covered call. You don't have to figure out the strike price and all that jazz. It's all done for you automatically. I think it's very convenient, especially if you want to take advantage of the benefits of using options and you don't know what you're doing. A bit like I am right now. I'm trying to learn about options, so we're going to see more videos about DeFi options and what we can do and so on as I learn how to use them. So we're starting with easy products like these that don't require too much brain power and that should help us generate some yield. So let's talk a little bit about Friktion itself. It's a relatively new project. However, they already have over $111 million in TVL, which is really nice. Okay. You should definitely follow their Twitter page. There's a lot of information going on here. Right now, this is one of the things that I'm really happy to see for a project is that they managed to raise $5.5 million in capital from all these investors here. Okay. Many of these are big name investors. Okay. And basically, it gives more credibility to a project when you have, these guys risking their own money on this. Also, what this means is that now they've got capital to pay programmers and do other good things to improve the protocol, which is really good as well. Okay, now another thing that I like. All right, so there was an interview. This is one of the founders, and he's the CEO of Friktion. And he's doing an interview with some pals here on YouTube. The YouTube video is here. The link is in the description below, so if you want to watch it. Nice now is that we have a dev that's not a total anonymous guy. So he's got a name and everything. And you can see his face. So his name is Udav Marwaha. Hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly. And he's behind this project. Okay, so again, it gives more credibility when you have developers that are visible and you have financial backers that are well-known entities. Okay. However, this one, not everything is perfect in the world. They don't have an audit yet. So if we look for audit in their Discord, okay, what we find out, okay, this is one of the fellows from Friktion, Leonardo. It says the code has been reviewed by Serum and Solana devs, and they're going to start an audit with Ship Capital and Kudelski. I don't know when. They say shortly, but that could mean 6 months from now. I have no idea. So there is some risk in the code, okay, because it's not fully audited yet. So be aware of that before you risk your money in there. Okay. There are other risks because, well, it's options, so nothing is nothing's perfect. But the risks are somewhat mitigated the way the the product has been structured. Okay, so we're going to read a little bit about what it does. Well, there are two products that they're selling. So we're going to have a quick look at what those are. And we're going to do a step-by-step investment today. All right, so we're going to try investing in the 2 vaults. Okay, so let's look at their products. So the first one, they like to make play on words. So the first vault is vault number 1. Apparently it has to do with inductors and God knows what. And those guys are too clever for me. Okay, the purpose of vault number 1 is to generate income. So let's look at their structured product. The first one's called vault number 1. I guess a play on word on vault, and they're talking about inductors in there and so on. It's way too clever for me. So the purpose of this one is to generate income, and we focus on income generation strategies that are running automated covered call selling and cash secured put programs. So it's all done for you. That's the point. It's automated. Traditionally, you would have to do this manually. Okay, and before you can do it, you need to understand various option strategies, which is pretty advanced. Okay, so you need to study this, and you need to practice and so on to understand what you're doing. Okay, now these guys have the experience, and they decided to program it for us to make it easy. All right. So once deposited, the funds are deployed into the current epoch. Okay, that's the time window during which the strategy is running, which is a week. Okay, every Friday, you see here, it's auto compounding. That's when the epoch ends. Okay, so, and the vault becomes your active portfolio manager. Your deposits are auto compounded weekly at this time. Option strikes and expiries are algorithmically determined to maximize your returns and minimize the chances of an option being called or underlying asset assigned. So, what does this mean? The strike price is determined by the algorithm. You don't know what it is until you put your money there. Okay, so you have to trust those guys that the algorithm is good enough. All right. So, but I mean, if you like total control, don't use this. Okay, this is controlled by the algorithm. Okay, be aware of that first. So it's designed for people that are lazy like me, that want to just deposit money, earn a yield, and not have to think about it. Okay, that's the point. That's the point. And they try to minimize the chances when they see the option being called for, the underlying asset being assigned, essentially losing money. Okay, so they try to maximize your yield. They try to reduce your chances of losing money on the options, okay, if the price of the underlying asset goes above the strike price. Okay, so you don't want that. So the way they programmed it, it's supposed to reduce the risk of that happening. Okay, so withdrawals can be preset and claimed once the withdrawal window opens, which is the withdrawal window opens at the same time as the auto compounding time, which is in 4 days, 21 hours, etc. at the time we're making this video. Obviously, this is going to change. When you watch a video, it's going to be different. For a more detailed overview of the Friktion Income Vault, see the Friktion docs. And if you have other questions, well, they say go to the Friktion Discord to get help, and they'll help you. Okay, that's so nice. All right, so we're going to have a quick look at the Friktion documents, which are somewhere around here. How do covered calls work? Okay. All right. So this is how the vault number one works. Okay. So what's a covered call, and what makes it a good income strategy? A covered call strategy involves generating passive yield from selling or writing call options on an asset that you own, for instance, Sol. In exchange for earning the premium from the option buyer, the seller gives away the right to purchase the asset at the agreed upon strike price. They say it's important to remember that this strategy doesn't utilize any leverage or token emissions, since all the options are fully collateralized by the sellers. So there's no leverage here, and they're not creating tokens or anything. So they give 3 scenarios, okay? 2 of them you make money, 1 of them you lose some. All right. So let's say you have $200 worth of you have Sol. Let's say Sol is at 200, and you deposit 1 Sol in Vault 1, which is writing a call option at a strike price of, let's say, 220. That's the assumption. Okay, we don't know what it's going to be until we actually make the investment. So expiring in a week, and it's going to collect $10, so 0.005 Sol or 5% premium. Okay, so that's the assumption here. The Friktion version 1 is built with physically settled options, meaning you receive yields in Sol, not in USDC. So if you're depositing a Sol, you're getting your income in Sol. All right. And not a farm token or USDC, as they say here. So you're not going to get your profits, on many projects you earn farm tokens. Well, at Friktion you don't. Okay, so there's no risk of losing money with the farm token depreciating in value. Okay, so you eliminate that risk. There's still other risk, as we're going to see. Scenario 1, the Sol price hasn't changed by expiry. It's still around 200. Okay, so you earn 5%. That's the premium. Okay. Scenario number 2, the Sol price falls to $150 at expiry. The call option expires worthless, and you collect 0.05 Sol from selling the option. Okay, and they do the math here. And essentially you earn 7%. Scenario 3, the Sol price at expiry is above the strike price, let's say $235. So you deliver 1 Sol for 220, now the equivalent of 0.94 Sol. You collect 0.05 Sol from selling the option, and you end up losing 0.02 Sol. Okay, so it says you lost 2%, but the value of your Sol went up 18%. So you're not really losing, all right? So it's kind of a nice strategy in the sense that your losses are mitigated, okay, if you lose, all right? So in all 3 scenarios here, you still end up with a profit, all right? Okay, so they have a video from another guy explaining all this. The link is in the description below, so if you want to watch it. Now, it says here, why use Friktion's covered call strategy to generate income? Because you don't need this if you know what you're doing with options. All right, you can just do it yourself, right? So it says here, enhance income with volatility. As volatility rises, so does the premiums and yields, which can be generated on call overriding strategies. So the advantage is that that's done automatically. Okay, you could just buy Sol and not use options. Okay, and if the price of Sol goes up, you're happy. Okay, but here we know that tokens and crypto are very volatile. They go up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. So now you take advantage of the volatility to generate income. That's the point of using options, okay, as opposed to just holding the Sol token. This at Friktion, you get active management. The customized solutions offer automated strike and expiry selection, position sizing, and target risk rewards so that you're able to set and forget across epochs. Okay, so the point is, okay, let the algorithm take care of you. Okay, I mean, some people like to be active traders. They like to be hands-on and, you know, compute. All right, what's the strike price I should be using, and so on. And you know, they like to play that game, and that's fine. It's a lot of work. It can be a lot of stress, especially if the market's going against you. But me, I'm lazy. Okay. So I kind of like having an algorithm that's supposed to do the hard labor for me. Okay. So that's why I like the active management part. You earn yields that are not reliant on token emission programs or vary based on borrowing demand and liquidation management. So this is different from most of the videos that I talked about. Okay. On DeFi 1.0 farms, typically you deposit your tokens and the yield comes in part from the emission of farm tokens. Problem with farm tokens is that the more they are minted, the more inflationary they become and the lower their value. So over time, the value of farm tokens tends towards zero. There's no such thing here. We're not getting no farm token from no Friktion. Okay? And also, because this specific structured product has no borrowing, there's no liquidation to worry about. Okay? So it's not like a leverage yield farm, like Friktion that we talked about and Tulip on Solana. Okay? So you're getting yield without having to worry about liquidation management. Okay, you don't need to worry and say, oh, do I need to put more capital here to increase my collateral and so on. You don't need to worry about that here. Okay, not with these structured products. Efficient execution through on-chain order books and competitive market maker auctions. So they're doing all the work for you here. All right. So that gives you a basic idea of what the covered call strategies are. Okay. And we're going to make one. So they've got several very interesting vaults here. Okay. And you can see what kind of APY you're going to get. I think this is really neat for Bitcoin that you can get 25.4% APY. So if you're Bitcoin maxi, you might find this interesting. Okay. What we're going to do though is I want to look at, I want to try to invest in the one that gives us the best possible APY. So right now we've got Saber here and Luna also with really amazing 100% APY here. If you're a lunatic, you might consider this one. Let's have a look at this. Okay. So this is how they talk about the yield. Okay, the 7-day yield is the current epoch, getting 0.47%. Those are extrapolated yields. Okay, so, and they take some fees. They take a percentage of your gains. Take 10%, I believe. Okay. So the first line says 7-day yield is the base of only the latest epoch. The extrapolated yield is derived from the time-weighted average of the last 2 epochs. APY depends on market conditions. Past performance is no guarantee of future returns. So although the last few epochs were generating a very good yield, doesn't mean it's going to be good in the future. That's another risk you need to be aware of. Okay, consider that before you make your investment. This is not guaranteed by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, this is an indication of what is possible according to the last couple of epochs. Okay, let's try this. Let's try a deposit here. Now, what happened at the moment, I don't have any Saber tokens in here, in my wallet. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to swap them. Some other tokens. Okay. It's not showing. Oh, there we are. Okay, so I've got this. I'm not going to max it. I'm going to put, let's say, 150 USDC. And I'm going to receive 1,200 Saber, whatever. And we're going to swap. Okay, forgot to read all the small print here. All right, so it shows here the capacity of each vault. And I didn't notice that we're at full capacity for this one. See, we're at 100% already. So I need to change my strategy. Okay, all right. So I'm going to sell these Saber tokens. And we're going to try the Luna vault instead. If we look at Luna, okay, we're not at the maximum. So at 59%, and we would be getting probably close to 100% on this one. So let's swap back the tokens that we got. Where's my Saber? Saber here. So we're going to max out the Saber. We're going to swap that into Luna. And we approve. All right, so the swapping is confirmed. Yes. Okay, so it looks like that was successful. So let's have a look over here. So we have 1.17 Luna right now. So we're going to max that. And we're going to deposit it in the vault. And we approve. Okay, that looks like it's going to work. Okay. All right, so if I wanted to withdraw, right now it doesn't show my balance. So it's deposited already, I think. All right, let me refresh the screen because it's not showing much right now. So see, it should show my balance up here as well. All right, so we refreshed and it shows here that my position is worth $148 right now. And if we go down here, we have deposit and withdraw available, and my position is reflected here. It says 1.71 Luna, which is worth $148 right now. Okay, so that's the first strategy. And does it show more if we click on this? Switch to DevNet disconnect one. No, it doesn't. Okay, I thought there was another screen for this. Anyway, let's look at the other vault. Vault number 2, sustainable stables. I think people that work there had a degree in poetry or something. Anyway, vault number 2 focuses on generating yield on stablecoin deposits. The vault runs an automated cash-secured put program. Similar to Vault 01, your deposits are auto-compounded weekly. The option strikes and expiries are algorithmically determined to maximize your return and minimize the chance of an option being called or an underlying asset assigned. The withdrawals can be preset and claimed once the withdrawal window opens, okay, which is at the end of the week. So again, it's a similar strategy, but this one is basically based on stablecoins. This one is new. Okay, you can get you deposit UST and you get the cash secured put. Okay, is on Luna. Here would be Mango, and this one would be Sol. But in these two cases, you deposit USDC. Okay. So, there's another one, and that's Bitcoin. Okay. So right now, since I'm chasing yield, right, let's try the Sol vault, and let's try to deposit that. And then we're going to have a look at the definition of this structured product. Okay, so let's do this. I've got USDC. So let's say I put $100. put, not 1,000 or 100. So we're going to deposit. And yeah, we still have capacity. I'm not going to make that mistake twice. And yeah, everything looks okay. So notice there's a withdrawal fee of 0.1% here and a performance fee of 10%, which is taken on your yield. Okay, so whatever you earn, they take 10%. Okay, be aware of that before you invest in this. That's how they make their money. All right, so deposit 100 here. Approve. And it looks like it's going to be successful. So I should see 100 USDC soon enough. Let's refresh again. Fortunately, that asks us to connect the wallet. Continue. Phantom. That's a bit annoying. Oh, there it is. Okay, now it's connected. Now we can see the money that I deposited. It's right there. Okay. And it's supposed to earn me 45%. And it's I'm going to get that in stablecoins. All right, so I'm going to collect that in USDC. They're using SOL in the cash secured put to generate the income, but the income is going to be given to me in USDC. All right. So there was an article about this. It's here. Yes. All right. So this is the article. The link is in the description below. So if you want to read it in more detail. Here they try to explain what the cash secured puts are on Friktion. Okay. So basically, your investable asset is USDC. So I invest that. Okay. Which secures the put against the underlying asset. In my case, it's SOL. The vault follows the epochs of existing vaults, meaning funds deposited now will be put to work on Friday. It will auto-compound rewards every Friday until you trigger your withdrawal, which you can do at any time, and the withdrawal will happen at the end of that epoch. So everything happens Friday. All right, so they're showing the same screen that I just showed you earlier. So what is a cash secured put? A cash secured put is where you put up a quoted asset, in this case USDC or now UST, they have a new vault now, against an underlying asset, in my case it's SOL. We're selling a secured put because we're anticipating the asset's market value will stay above a certain price. But they're doing all this automatically. I don't need to worry about figuring out what the price, the strike price has to be and all that stuff, okay? So it says here, what is the strike price for the put? The strike price is the price at which your USDC will be utilized to purchase the underlying asset. When Friktion applies the funds to the market, they set a strike price. They set it, not me. Prior to the epoch, the strike price is not published. This is to prevent front-running the investment strategy. The market is also ever-changing, and not pre-releasing a strike price allows the team to be responsive to market conditions to get the best outcome for the vault. Okay. What is the preferred outcome for a cash secured put? If the asset market value is above the strike price, it is considered out of the money. In this instance, you keep the premium that the buyer paid to have access to your put. The investable asset, USDC, is freed. You receive your asset plus the premium. So that's the best case scenario. What happens if my put is in the money? If the asset dips below the strike price, the buyer of the put may exercise the put and force you or Friktion, the seller, to buy the underlying asset at the strike price. This is called being assigned. Now, they are designing the algorithm, okay, the structured product, okay, to try to minimize that possibility, but it can still happen. On a typical market put, you may be inclined to hold the underlying asset if you were betting for it to continue to increase in value. On Friktion, however, the rebalancing program will return the asset to market at the end of the epoch and on Friday, and sell it with limited slippage back to USDC, which will be returned to investors of the vault. When asked about the function where users get back the quoted asset instead of the underlying asset, community managers for Friktion have indicated they intend to add that functionality eventually, which will allow investors to get back the underlying asset. And this guy thinks it's a good idea. So you cannot do that yet, but that's probably coming. What are the risks? One of the common risks associated with a put strategy is that the put is assigned. We don't like that. Buying an asset at the strike price when the market rate is actually less than the strike price leads to an unrealized profit loss or the difference between the market rate and the strike price. Okay. So when selling puts directly on the market, you have the opportunity to capture and keep the underlying asset in the hopes that it increases in value. On Friktion, the asset is liquidated back to the quoted asset before returning to the vault users. This will cause an unrealized loss if you were bullish on the asset rebounding. Friktion's algorithm manages risk appropriately to lower the chances of assignment. Normally, you would have to manage this manually. With Friktion, it's done automatically for you. Okay, so there's still some risk. You can still lose some money, but they're designing the product in such a way that your risk is reduced. Okay. Also, the way it's designed is like the contracts end every Friday, right? So it allows you for greater compounding. So if they made money during the first week, they can compound this, and then you have more assets to play with the next week, and then they can compound this and compound this and compound this. So that's why they use these short epochs. Okay, it gives you a greater chance of increasing your earnings because there's extra compounding. Okay, that's part of the reason why it's only a week. Okay. All right. What are the premiums? In return for receiving a premium, the seller of a put assumes the obligation to buy the underlying asset at the strike price at any time during the expiration date, until the expiration date, should the buyer of the put option wish to exercise it. Okay. So how are the puts different from covered calls? Covered calls are when you are selling an asset you already own and are long on. Friktion supports covered call in detail, and they talk about, he's got another blog post about this, but we talked about it already. All right. So the two different strategies, they're all automated. Let's go back here so you can see them. So they're both automated. You don't need to be an option expert to use this. They got you covered. You can still lose a little bit of money, okay? But the way it's designed, it's supposed to mitigate the risk and reduce the chances of assignment so that you should not lose too much on this, okay? So that's why I'm experimenting with small amounts of money to check if it's true or not. Okay? Again, there are several risks. Consider that it's a new protocol. It's doing really well, though. They've got over 111 million on it. There's about 20 different investors that put 5.5 million into this, so that's very good. Okay? It's very hopeful. Their code is not yet audited, so that's an extra risk. We don't know how buggy that code is. Okay? And as far as I can tell, the code's not public, which is also another concern. Okay? The code might be proprietary. So coders cannot check it and see if whatever they're claiming is true or not. Okay, so that's another risk. All right, so consider all this before you put your money in there. Okay, there are risks. You could lose money. Okay, although it's supposed to be designed to reduce the chances of losses and to increase your yield. Okay, there are still risks. All right. So remember that. That's it for this video. If you like this kind of stuff, please like and subscribe. Don't forget to ring the bell. Download the free book. All you have to do is put your name, your email address, hit the submit button. Then you get a big fat button that says download the free book. And if you miss that, we're sending you an email that has another button that says download the free book. And if you don't want the book for free, you go to Amazon. You pay $5.99 to Jeff Bezos, and Jeff will send me a whole $1. See ya.